has announced a quote-unquote trade deal with China, but the only issue is we don't know what the details are, and the messaging is a bit confusing right now. On the official White House page, an official White House release says that a trade deal has been executed between the United States and China. If true, that would have significant global impacts. But Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary's statement, says that the two countries have made, quote, substantial progress. The release does not identify any information about this deal, merely saying that we'll get more information potentially tomorrow. The Chinese government, for its part, has not said anything about whether or not the two sides have reached a trade deal just yet. So it's important right now to have some hesitancy, anyone in the media, because we don't know the full story. Once we get the full story, I'll let you know. But if we have a trade deal, I'll let you know. If we don't have a trade deal, I'll let you know. Right now, it's unclear, but that is what the White House is saying. Spread the word. I'll do a full breakdown on my Substack, link to my bio, so subscribe.
It's happening! It's happening! What's the procedure? Stay calm! President Trump just struck a deal with China that could redefine our economy. Here's what you need to know. After imposing a 145% tariff on China, Trump's hard stance on trade led to a pivotal agreement in Geneva. Details are emerging, but the implications are massive. The US and China have agreed to measures to reduce the staggering $1.2 trillion trade deficit. This follows intense negotiations from top officials from both nations. This isn't just about numbers, it's about protecting American jobs, industries, and our economic future. Trump's decisive action is a stand against years of unfair trade practices. While specifics still aren't disclosed yet, this deal signals a significant shift in the US and China relations, and a win for American economic sovereignty. This is truly a turning point in our nation's economic history. Share this and spread the word. Trump's strategy is delivering results. The era of one-sided trade deals is ending, and America is back in control.
Friends.
It's looking like a trade deal between the United States and China is in the work, and that it's going to be positive for everyone. President Trump just announced this moments ago on Truth Social. A very good meeting with China in Switzerland. Many things discussed, much agreed to. A total reset negotiated in a friendly but constructive manner. We want to see for the good of both China and the U.S. in opening up of China to American business. Great progress made. If a deal is done that both benefits China and the United States, this would be great for the economy. This would be great for the stock market. Many are saying this would be great for crypto. When do you think a deal is going to be made, and what do you think about this? As always, let me know down below.
So it looks like the White House has announced a trade deal with China. On the other hand, China is said, with who? China said, now we heard a lot of blah, 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 and we agreed to come to a consensus to continue talking to y'all, but a deal? So of course they can't provide you any details if they don't have any. And it is very important to understand how quickly we came to such an agreement. First and foremost, they agreed to getting somebody else to do it. There, cat's out the bag. Get somebody else that can talk about the agreement, and we will continue on with negotiation. That'll fuck them up right there. But as always, they can't keep quiet, and they gotta bring everything to the internet, pretending to the world that they have reached some type of trade agreement. And now many people are speculating there was simply a bird call to the stock market. Hello? Because you see, we gonna tell y'all today, but we gonna let y'all know tomorrow. You know, once we figure out who's smart enough to continue the talks with China. Right now we lose.
Trump just posted on Truth Social claiming they had a very good meeting with China's counterparts in Switzerland. And according to them, many things were discussed and much was agreed to and great progress was made. That's actually false, and we know that because China just acknowledged in their own press release that nothing was agreed upon. No joint statement, no signed terms, no deliverables, just vague references to continued dialogue. And while the U.S. is pushing a narrative of progress, China is moving in the opposite direction. They've just announced tighter export controls targeting the United States specifically, restricting critical minerals and rare earths. Their state media has doubled down, signaling a hardened and defiant stance. Meanwhile, Scott Bessent and U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer are holding off on releasing any official details until Monday. Not because they're finalizing an agreement, but because they're trying to pump the markets again with a carefully worded false narrative. It's about optics and not outcomes. This is not diplomacy. It's damage control designed for Wall Street, not Main Street. So, folks, there is no deal. China is digging in. And what we're being sold is just spin, dressed up as...
About time. China and U.S. came up with a deal. They got a deal as of today. They both going to make the announcement on Monday. So, ooh, child, thank God, because I thought I was going to run out of tissue, paper towels, water, eggs, and milk. Like, I'm so glad they came up with something, because even with TikTok, you know, we got to June till they figured that out. And most of us, that's how we, you know, try to make it in life, you know. So, again, attention. Do y'all a homework. This was the announcement. I'm going to let y'all read that. I'm not going to read none of that, but just know they came up with a deal, U.S. and China, and they both going to make separate statements. Tomorrow is Monday. That'll be, May 12th. And again, that's a relief for majority of the people. They're saying certain ports are empty. So hopefully we can get somewhere, because y'all know that dude play too much. That he play too much with all our lives over here. But yeah, y'all read that and give y'all a second to read that, and you know.
The White House is announcing they've reached a trade deal with China after negotiations in Switzerland this weekend, but they aren't offering any details. And the White House isn't saying if either country has agreed to lower their tariffs. Remember, there are currently 145% tariffs on Chinese goods, and China has retaliated with 125% tariffs on American goods. But China is not calling this a done deal. In a press conference, Beijing said the two sides made substantial progress and will continue trade talks, but said the details still need to be finalized. As of now, the tariffs on both sides are still in effect, but administration sources tell us this appears to be a significant step towards lowering tariffs. Now, all of this has huge implications for the global economy. Both countries are feeling the economic pain of these tariffs, with trade dramatically falling between the U.S. and China and major slowdowns at critical U.S. shipping hubs. The executive director of the Port of L.A. tells us that retailers and large importers are telling him that they've all but stopped imports from China. There is a lot of urgency to get a deal done. Sources have told us that retail executives have warned the president that these tariffs could lead to empty store shelves.
We have some major breaking news right now. The United States is now on the verge of an economic crisis from supply chain issues as a result of Donald Trump's tariffs. The executive director of the Port of Los Angeles spoke to CNN and said that this week, the Port of LA is down 35% in terms of shipments coming in compared to the same time last year. Port of LA had expected 80 ships to arrive in May. 20% have already canceled. More cancellations of imports are expected for June. Customers, according to Soroka, have already canceled 13 sailings for June. That number likely will only continue to rise in June as long as these tariffs stay in effect. That's not all. The imports coming in from China on boats right now is more than 50% less than this time last year. The drop-off is significant. Businesses are just not willing to pay the higher import costs because of these tariffs, and as a result, Americans will have less to buy. Prices will go up, so get ready, spread the word, and I'll do a full breakdown on my Substack shortly.